everyone. So today we're going to have a crash course on sales funnel. I know you've heard sales funnels so many times. You could go on Google and find out what sales funnel is about, but today we're going to take a specific approach, right? We're going to go through the funnel in 4 phases, from awareness to interest, consideration, and then closing. Now, generally, you will find these similar frameworks. There are so many other frameworks. You might find awareness, consideration before interest. You might find some people, instead of closing, put value delivery. But ultimately, we're all trying to say the same thing. So I'm going to take you through the sales funnel from the customer facing side, which is like literally the journey that the customer goes through, and then we will also be tackling what you should do as the seller or the business owner or the salesperson managing this funnel at every phase. Are you ready? Let's get right into it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment as well. All right, so let's start. We start with awareness and the funnel. So you know how a funnel looks like, right? It has a large top of funnel, and then it's V-shaped, and then comes down at the very base. It's like very small compared to the base, to the top. That's exactly how sales is, based on the processes that the customer follows. So your sales funnel starts with awareness, which is the top part of the funnel, very wide. It's how many people have heard about your brand, or have heard about your product, have heard about what you do, have heard about your services, right? You want to try to get in as much people into this funnel as possible, as much people into this part of the funnel as possible, because the number of people that come in here has an impact on the number of people that eventually come out of the funnel, which is people that eventually become your customers, right? So this is where people hear about your product for the first time. They hear about your business. It could be different activities, right? As a salesperson or as a company or a business, what the activities that you're doing here, or the things that you are supposed to be focusing on, is how many people have heard about my brand. So this is where you go to events. For instance, you get a booth at an event, get a stand, or you do a partnership and you pay to have a product space where you share about your product. This is also where you run ads, and someone stumbles across your video or your content or your page. This is where you send out like bulk SMSs, maybe to random numbers, or this is the lead attraction phase. You've not even started converting or anything. You're just trying to get people to know about your product. So if you want to ace this part of your funnel, you want to make sure that you're showing up in the right places as well. You want to make sure that the people that you're attracting into this phase of the funnel are actually your target market, right? So yes, I've said go to events, go to places, but you want to make sure that you're going to the places that your customers would be at, right? So before anything and everything, you've already even identified who are the people that I want to target to. And why this is important is because if 1 million people come into this part of the funnel, and out of that 1 million, 800,000 of them are not your target audience, what that means is 800,000 people just know about your product, but the only people who are probably likely to proceed is maybe 200,000, and it means that all other calculation or math or conversion rate will be on that 200,000. But you could have done better if out of that 1 million, it was the other way around, where 800,000 people were your customer, your market segment, and maybe 200,000 were just the wind and the shaft. Do you get what I'm saying? So stay with me. That phase of the funnel is important. You want to get enough people that are aligned to your business into that place. So if you sell electronics, you want to go to trade fairs and those kind of places, versus going to service-based or startup-based events, for instance, right? And if you run ad, you're targeting, you want to target people that in your category. So that's the first phase, awareness phase. This is what happens. What happens in the customer mind is they see your brand for the first time, they see your product for the first time. This is like just discovering. They're hearing about you for the first time. The next is what I call the interest phase. Now, if I stumble across your ad, or I see your company at an event, one of 2 things might happen. One, if I'm remotely, anything close to your target audience, I might be interested, right? So I'll be curious. I would want to know more, right? I would take your business card maybe at the stand, or take a flyer, or if I saw the ad online, I might click to go to your page or something, right? So let's again go back to that 1 million people at the base of the funnel. Out of that 1 million, chances are not everyone would be interested at all, right? But if you got it right, say 50-50, 500k people will move to the next phase of your funnel, which is now smaller. They would go to your page, look at your profile. So when we say things like make sure that your profile is highly converting, make sure that your profile is built to sell, this is what we mean. It means that when somebody comes from an ad or they come from anywhere else and they land on your profile, whether on your website, when I say profile now, I mean anywhere that you appear on the internet, anywhere you are on the online village, right? So whether that's on YouTube, your profile must be very clear, whether that's on LinkedIn, on Instagram, your website, a landing page, whatever you've created to house people who are, curious about your brand or your product, it now needs to be clear. This is where we say, sales profile or a converting profile, right? So they click on that. Or if it's physical, then I take a card or I take a flyer. So that's interest. Now, what you should be doing here in this interest phase, understanding that these people are curious, you are building and positioning yourself to drive further the curiosity and showcase value. So the activities that you should be focused on here is how to, like I said, optimize your profile, your landing pages, your website. Make sure that they clearly show the value that you offer. They clearly position you in a good light that makes the people want to be interested in now taking your offer. At this point, they're just interested, they want to know more, they're curious. If it was a physical event where they collected a flyer or something, you need to have made sure that the flyer is positioned in such a way that it also clearly structures the most important things. There's a contact detail for them to take action. If you were smart, you would have collected also their number in your database, right? Get something to be able to reach out to them later. This is also the phase where people do email marketing a lot, is in the interest phase. You are marketing to a database of people that came for your event. You're trying to sell more things to them, right? You're trying to build, they were interested, they came from the awareness phase and then they moved into the interest phase when they sign up for your event, or they entered your database one way or another, right? So that is like what you should be doing there. So you should make sure that your funnel is airtight, in the sense that if you organize an event or you went for an event and 100 people came or stopped by your booth or came for the event, you want to make sure that you have their database somewhere and you've prepared a sequence or series of emails to continuously send to them to make them move from that interest phase to the next phase, which I will call the consideration phase. Now, the consideration phase is where the customer is thinking of, do I buy or do I not buy? So they've moved from awareness, they've known about your product or business, they've gone to interest, like, okay, it sounds good, it sounds interesting, I'm aligned. Then they're now deciding whether to go ahead and put money or not to put money. And a lot of things happens in this phase. Now, there are different ways to handle this phase depending on your kind of business, especially if you're in the B2B or the B2C industry, right? There might be if you're B2B and you're trying to do service, this is where you start to make tailored proposals. This is where you start to create tailored documentations. You've done research, you've had clarity calls with the organization, you've sat down with them to understand what works and what doesn't work, and you're trying to now curate a proposal specifically for them. So if it's B2C, this is where you are talking to the customer, maybe in the DM, they've entered your DM, they're asking you how much, you're sharing with them features about the product or the service, you're telling them delivery timeline, you're telling them why they should make a purchase, they're asking you questions, testimonials, they're saying, can you show me a link, you're telling them, oh, check here, and all of those things. This is where a lot of the decision making happens. So it's a very critical phase. And just like from the awareness to the interest phase, there was a reduction. From the interest phase to people who now proceed to actually asking you these questions, who want to buy, who want to know more, who are actually considering whether do I buy or do I not buy. There's also a huge difference. This is where you create a high converting offer. This is where you try to lock things into timeline. You tell them, hey, if you're going to buy between now and next week, we have this amazing discount that is on and you could get this. This is where you throw in all of this bulk purchase to say, oh, if you buy 5, we can give you a discount on the next one. this is where you bring all of those arsenal out, right? So I'm making this video to help you understand also the psychology of the customer and where they are. Someone has come this far in your funnel, chances that they really truly want to buy. So you're structuring your sales processes to make sure that you're answering those critical questions that they will be asking themselves at this time. A lot of questions bothered around trust, bothered around, does the product work? Are you going to be able to do what you say you would do? So this is where you really position all of your social proof and testimonials and things like that. And then the final phase, and trust me, there are little smaller phases in between all of these. We're just focusing on the major ones. Is the closing. Now, when people say closing, people always think that, it's positive. Closing can be negative sometimes. It's just really important that you close, right? So it's the part where the buyer, the customer, makes a decision whether to buy or not to buy. So whether they're not buying is also closed. You close that cycle and then you put them maybe into another funnel and then you start the process all over. But essentially, this is the decision-making part where they choose to buy. So if they're choosing to buy, you're doing things like invoicing, you are signing contracts for those who are signing contracts, you are sending them your payment receipts. And the funny thing is that some business owners don't know how to move from consideration to close. They just get stuck in that consideration phase where you're talking to the customer. You don't know how to move from there to close, how to quickly say, okay, this is the next step to getting the value. You pay and then we do this and then we do that. You don't know how to make that move. Some of them are even afraid to ask for the sale. They're even afraid to send their customer their bank account details or to send their invoice because they don't just know how to move away from that phase. So you fix this by having clear sales processes. I tell you that when you get to this point with the conversation, this is how you then move to sale. This is how you move to close. You send an invoice. You said, okay, we're going to be sending you the contract alongside an invoice. Does that work for you? Great. After this, we're going to do this. You have it very, very clear, right? Your closing process. If also the close is a negative one, which means the customer is not buying, I always advise that you at least get data out of that. If they've come all the way to this point and they say, don't worry, no, I won't buy, try to get data to understand why are people not buying, or why you're not buying. Try to know if it's a price conversation, if it's something, and then you handle objections back and forth. We have a whole series for that also in the Scale Party Academy. You can look to join that, where we tackle how to handle different objections that come up. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to just show you like the steps for the customer or the sales funnel. Now, on your path as a seller or a salesperson or a business owner, when you get to that phase and the close is not going positively, you should, and it's heading more the way of negatively, you should look at how to salvage this, right? So why is this person not buying? Do they need a different offer? And if it's going positively, also look at how to milk this as well. See if you could get a testimonial after a few days. So your post-sales process, your follow-up process, see if you can turn this customer into a repeat customer, if you can upsell them, if you can make them a brand promoter, and all of these different things. And then the most important thing as well, make sure that you deliver value, right? Go ahead to make sure that you fulfill everything that you promised from the beginning of the sale up until this point. So this was like a really quick crash course on the sales funnel. We have a full 2-hour masterclass on this on the Scale Party Academy program. So if you want to join, make sure to click the link in the Scale Party Academy. Go find them on the website scaleparty.com, or find them on Instagram at Scale Party Academy, and then make sure you register for the next cohort. Okay, so I hope that you found value in this. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and share this video with someone else who should learn about this. Bye.